Hey, all my cyber warriors out there. This is Cyber Warrior Wisdom back with another episode for you all. If you don't know who I am, I'm the Cyber Warrior Wisdom, and I have a lot of experience within cybersecurity and computers in general. And if you need to, you can check out some of my previous videos to see a little bit more background on me. I kind of go into those, so check those out in my channel. But here, this episode, we're going to be talking about taking an old computer and turning it into a media server or any type of like virtual server stuff where you want to maybe spin up some servers for, home games, Minecraft, Pal World, other stuff like that that you could use to build that type of servers for by using one of your old computers maybe you have laying around the house. So in order to do that, we need to first download some tools. One of my tools that I've liked since the early 2000s is Hiren's Boot CD. It used to be you'd burn it onto a CD and put it in, and you'd be able to do all kinds of stuff right from a little mini OS. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. But this now with the new updated stuff, most people don't have CD drives. They have USBs. So now we can go ahead and do it in a USB type format. What you're going to want to do first is go to hirensbootcd.org, and then you want to go to download, and you want to scroll down here to the bottom and click the HBCD PEX64 ISO. It will download. Make sure you know where you're downloading to, usually to your downloads folder. And then you'll click on USB booting. You'll want to download Rufus, which is like kind of a bootable USB drive program. Make sure USB bootable. And then you will, once you get that done, you're going to go ahead and open up your downloads folder. And what we would do is go into our downloads, and we'd go into Rufus here, click yes to allow the Windows admin permissions. It'll put up the device here. You want disk or ISO image selected here, so you're going to hit select and go ahead and select your ISO file. Once you've done that, you're going to want to go down and change it to a, let me open it up here. You're going to want to change it to MBR, and it says in the notes down here at the bottom for a flash drive larger than 32 gigs. What you're going to want to do is partition a scheme as MBR and file system as large fat. For some reason, it won't let me do it, even though I do have the large fat option enabled. It still wouldn't let me do it, so I've done the NTFS already to try and do it that way. And then you can have it do several passes for overwriting the data if you've got any sensitive data on there. Multiple passes will help make sure that data is not recoverable if you need to remove it for any reason. So I've already done this. So once you get this, you click start, and then it will go ahead and build your bootable Hiren CD USB. So then you're going to click close. And what we're going to do now is we're going to safely eject our USB drive down in the Windows taskbar. So after you went ahead and did your bootable USB for your Hiren CD, that's going to be used to go ahead and wipe out that the old computer completely. Any drives you have or whatnot, that's what we're going to use this software for, is to go ahead and wipe all those drives clean so that we have a nice clean slate to work with. And what we want to do then is get a NAS software. I'm going to recommend using TrueNas and use their open source scale system. So if you go to TrueNas.com, you'd come here and they've got community editions and enterprise editions. So we want to go with the community editions. You're going to click the learn now. And then I would suggest the scale, which gives you Docker and Kubernetes apps as well. So we're going to download scale. And then if you want, you can continue with Google, GitHub, or any of these others, or just put in your email if you want. Or you can just click no thank you, I've already signed up. And then you would click this download stable here, which would give you a stable version to go ahead and install. Once you have that downloaded, we're going to go back to our Rufus. We're going to load up Rufus again. So once you start Rufus up, what you're going to want to do is select your TrueNas ISO file, just like we selected the Hiren's boot CD one. And then we're going to do MBR, leave these as default, large fat 32. You can leave it you can create a custom image if you want. You could say True NAS on there so that it's got that label, and then leave all these. You're going to click start. It's going to ask you about an ISO hybrid mode. It's recommended to write it on ISO mode, so we're going to do that. We're going to click OK, and then it's going to say all data on the device ISO image will be destroyed, and we're going to say that's fine. Click OK to continue, and we're going to click OK. It may prompt you and tell you that the grub is out of date and it needs to update. It'll try ask you if it's okay to connect to the internet and download a newer grub version. It did that when I tried it the first time. So if it does that, just click yes, allow it to. It'll go out and download the latest version of grub so that it's able to install it. And then of course, it's going to go ahead and copy all those files over to this USB drive. And then you're going to have a hopefully bootable USB drive for our TrueNas RAID, which will be able to run our operating system and run our new file server. So once this is done, you will click close. It's at 99.4% at the moment. And then we're going to want to, of course, safely eject down in the tray again. Make sure we do that. So as you can see, we finished up here. We're going to click close, and that's going to go away. Then we're going to go down into the tray. We're going to right click and eject the USB again. And so once you do that, it's safe to remove that USB. Now, let's go ahead and move over to getting that PC set up. And like I said, first, we're going to start with the USB for the Hiram's boot CD. So know which one you have there. And then you're going to need a second USB for the TrueNas software so that you can get that installed. So once we've got those running, then we should have a NAS system up and running. But right now, we're going to start with that first USB once we get the computer swapped out, and I'll give you guys a look at how to do that.
So now, as you can see, we've got a used computer here. This is one that I've just had sitting back. It's one I built back in a long time ago. It's got a, I think it's got a 1080 Super video card in it, along with some hard drives, an M.2, and an extra space. So it's got plenty of space in it for us to be able to use it as a multimedia server and do what we want with it. So what you're going to want to do first is open it up. Make sure you blow out all the air using a can of compressed air or a vacuum cleaner to vacuum out all the dust and everything. Make sure you're keeping your computers clean. It's always going to make it look better, work nice, and make sure just the overall performance of it stays where it needs to be. This isn't going to be a real beefy machine. It's just going to be something to be able to run some virtual machines on, and to host servers like Minecraft and Pal World, like I said, or other ones that you've got, and even maybe to put a Plex server on so that you can copy any movies that you own from a DVD over into it or whatnot. Plex is used for a variety of stuff nowadays. You could run that on here as well. So just go and take your can of compressed air and just go ahead and just blow it all out. Try to get as much of the dust out as you can, and then we will power it up and start booting the Hiram CD that we burned on the USB earlier.
All right, now that we are booted into Hiram's boot CD, what we're going to want to do is go to start. We're going to want to start typing disk and then manager or management. So we're going to click that. And then in here, as you can see, we can see all of our disks that we have. And so we've got our disk 2, which we don't want to mess with, but our disk 0 and our disk 1, we want to fully wipe out. So we want to delete that volume, yes. We want to delete the volume, yes. So you want to do this with any drive that's on here. This one, it won't let you delete. And then on this one, we won't be able to do anything. This one will delete the volume, yes. And then so now we have successfully removed everything, and what we're going to want to do is create a new simple volume, go to next, yeah, that's fine, and we want to
default system NTFS, new volume is fine. You can leave that all and just perform a quick format. And so it'll go through and do that. And then on our other one, same thing. We want to do a new, yes. We could do second disk for now. Go next, go finish, and then go ahead and format that. If you have data on here, or if maybe you want to use this for another purpose of, getting rid of an old PC and you've got data on hard drives that you don't want to be recovered ever, if you're going to sell it with the hard drives or destroy it or whatever, you can go in and use a program called HDD low level formatter, which is in your all programs. Go to hard disk tools, go down to security, and then you want to go to HDD low level format tool. You can upgrade if you want, or you can just continue for the free version. And what you're going to want to do is select the drive that you want to really erase. You're going to click continue. It's going to tell you some details about it. You're going to go to low level format, and it says in here all data will be fully and irreversibly erased. And you format this, what it's going to do is it is going to just completely wipe everything off of this. It is going to destroy, not really destroy, but destroy all the data on it, not destroy the drive. Destroy any data on it. It is going to remove it so that it can't be recovered. So that's a good thing to know if you're ever trying to get rid of something, or sell an old hard drive or something that you never want the data on it to be recovered. If you have sensitive information on there, banking account information, personal identifiable information, PII, anything like that. So that's just another caveat to this that you can do. And if you want, you can also just perform a quick wipe here as well, and then format the device that way. And then we can exit out of that. So now that we've got all of this, I would like to see if maybe HDD level format can go ahead and just clear that, because we don't need the recovery partition at all. So let's go into that one. Let's go to free. Let's choose that main disk there. Let's go to next, low level format. Let's just perform a quick one. Just remove partitions and the boot record. So let's go ahead and format this device. Yes, we want to format it all. All right, so it went ahead and did it completely and removed it all. So now, as you can see, we've got an unknown disk that is completely wiped, which is nice, which is what I wanted. I wanted everything gone from it. So now you need to initialize the disk, because that's what this red arrow on here means, that it is brought down. So we need to initialize it now. So we're going to say, yep. We can do it as a GUID partition table. That's fine. Bring it online. Then we're going to create a new simple volume. Next. That's fine. New volume's fine. Finish. And it's going to format that whole thing as a new volume. Then we got the second disk formatted. So now we are done with this part. We can go ahead and shut this down. And then we will plug in the TrueNas and boot that up and walk you through the steps of that. Alright, so now we've got we switched out the USB drive, turned it back on, and it told us that we needed to click OK to do the next. It should detect it, that it's an installation thing. And then we're going to install TrueNas here. So there we go. It's going to go through a bunch of stuff here. Alright, so we want to install, upgrade, yep, click OK. We're going to say, yep, I want to choose this drive as my boot drive. Install TrueNas to a drive. Multiple drives can be selected to provide redundancy. Chosen drives are not available for use in the TrueNas UI arrow keys. So yeah, that's fine. So I want to choose my smaller volume one in order to host the operating system of TrueNas, and then the other one we're going to use for actual storage stuff. So yep, that's what we're going to do. We're going to click OK. So now it's going to go ahead and wipe it as well. But we just wanted to do that first part ahead of time just in case, and I wanted to show you guys Hiren's Boot CD, which is kind of a really cool program. So Web authentication is administrative user admin. Yep, that's fine. We'll do option one. Enter your admin user password. Root password will be disabled, so we have to type in a password. So we will do our usual cyber warrior wisdom exclamation point. Cyber warrior wisdom exclamation point. And then we're gonna hit tab. We're gonna go down to OK, click OK. Passwords do not match. Oh, I must have mistyped it. Cyber warrior wisdom. There we go. Cyber warrior wisdom exclamation point. Tab. Okay. Hey, I typed it right that time. So create a 16 gigabyte swap partition on the boot device. Yeah, we'll go ahead and create a swap partition. We'll just leave it as the defaults. So it's going to continue in here. Allow EFI boot, enter yes for systems with newer components such as NVMe drive devices. Enter no when system hardware requires legacy BIOS boot workaround. So we want to enable this on mine. Mine does have NVMe drive. That's the drive we're booting it onto right now. It's a newer machine. If you've got a really old machine that you're trying to use that still uses BIOS, then of course you would do that. So make sure you select whichever one you need. I'm going to select yes because I've got the newer components. And so it's going to go ahead and create all that. So as you can see, we're creating the data set and extracting it all. And so it's going to walk through this process. As you guys can probably see, I've got a Raspberry Pi W0 on here. I plan on doing a future video on a Raspberry Pi, cool things you can do with them. I'm trying to get my hands on a newer one. They've been out of stock for a while, so hopefully I can get a newer Raspberry Pi. I believe 5 is out, so hopefully I can get one of those. So I'll see you guys once this install is done, and we'll skip ahead to that so that we can continue on with this. Now we have got it all installed. It'll tell you that it's installed. Please reboot and remove the installation media. So we're going to click OK here. And we're going to go down to, I'm going to shut down the system so it gives me time to go ahead and take out that USB drive, and then we'll just power it back on. All right, we have rebooted our system, and now it's going to say TrueNas scale or advanced options. We're going to just do the basic one. Again, I've already removed my USB device here, and so we're going to click load into that. All right, now that it's been fully loaded in, we can see here we've got a web user interface if we would want to connect to it from another system. So we've got our configure network interfaces, configure network settings. We can do a bunch of that from here, but we want to be able to use that web interface. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it back down now that I know that it boots up and works. And then I'm going to plug it in somewhere else, boot it back up, and get my other PC back over here. Because I'm not all fancy, I don't have multiple places to set stuff up. So I'm going to have to swap that out and get this one over here and let it boot up. And then once it's booted up, we'll be able to connect to it via this IP address here to our web interface and be able to control it. So I'll show you guys that next. All right, guys. So I ran into some issues when I got my machine moved over and my other machine back and booted up. That booted up fine and everything, but the TrueNas, when it was wanting to boot up, it wasn't fully booting up. So I hooked up a monitor and a keyboard, and it was saying there's no keyboard, so it wanted that. So I had to put that in and go in and change that setting in the BIOS that it doesn't need that. So make sure you check that. And then also I was having a secure boot problem. If you're running an older version of Windows, or I mean a newer version of Windows with the secure boot process, if your machine's kind of newer, it may be tied into that. So make sure you go in and disable secure boot. And then once it's disabled,
restart it a couple times, make sure it's going to boot up fine, which is what I did. I unplugged my keyboard, made sure it's going to boot up fine, and then I unplugged the monitor. All right, so as you can see, we've got the TrueNas web UI up and running. For me, it was at 7.160. For you, it'll be whatever your network is. It should, like I said, it should tell you when we set it up. For me, it was saying this. So I logged in. We're going to type in admin all lowercase and our password, Cyber Warrior Wisdom, and you're gonna enter that. Now we are into the system. So we've got TrueNAS up and running. It's gonna show us our CPU usage, our cores, all that. So now we've got the latest version, generic platform. It's got our network stat up. So this is TrueNAS. It is up and running now. So now what we want to do is go into storage. We've got no pool, so we want to create a pool. We're going to go here. We're going to type in data. We're going to click next. And then we're going to go into Stripe. And we've got our one disk that automatically got selected, which is our almost 3 terabyte drive that we got. Okay, so yep, there's not going to be any redundancy for mine. You might have multiple disks where you can create redundancy. It's always better if you have multiple disks, but for me, like I said, this is just a spare PC I had that had a drive in it and everything else. I can always add hard drives to it later. So we're going to go next. Layout, stripe for the log, disk size. We're just going to leave, or this is only optional, so reset step, and then we're going to go next because the log is optional. Spare, we don't have a spare, so we're going to skip that as well. And cache, disk size, no options. Width, so then we're going to go next. Just basically going to click next through all this. This is all optional. Data, which we're not going to do. We're just doing a very basic setup. So we're going to go next. And it tells you that a stripe is highly discouraged and will result in data loss if it fails, which we know. Again, this is just for, a basic home server. We're not trying to do anything fancy. We're going to create the pool, confirm, continue. So it's going to go ahead and create that data pool for us. And now we've got our storage area. Tells us our disk health. Ziv has all kinds of information here. So now we've got that. We've got data sets in here, which you can add data sets. You can create Windows share files, create a giant share to use throughout your network if you want. So virtualization. So mine it's saying my CPU doesn't support KVM extensions, which it should. It's a newer one, so I'll have to play with that. So networking, data protection. If we have any data, so now we've got that all set up for our system. Now it's just a matter of playing with it, figuring out what all it can do, what all you want it to do for you, and get it rolling. So apps, so we can check available apps. So we've got Navidrome, which is a personal streaming service. Firefly is a personal finance manager. You got a Redis cache, a file browser. Roundcube is a browser-based multilingual IMAP client. Expose your services easily and securely. Nginx proxy manager. So we can do like Navidrone, and so it's a personal streaming service. So we can do this, or we can do, it's got Plex. So I'm very much a Plex person. I'd rather use Plex, so I'd go here. I go set up pool to install. We'll select our data pool. We'll choose that. There's also Jellyfin and some other stuff you can do in here as well. So we're just looking at the apps, which you can go in and browse and figure out. Like I said, I'm a Plex guy. I'm going to install Plex on here. So we're going to confirm and agree. So now it's talking about what we're going to do. We're going to install all this. We want to change our time zone. I'm on the East Coast. So we're going to look for America. See if we can type it in there. America, uh, New York. There we go. That's what I want. I don't have a claim token. Plex official image is fine. I'm going to leave out all the rest of these as defaults. It sets up a port UI, everything. I'm just going to leave it all defaults, make it really simple. And then we're going to click install. So it is going to go ahead and set up that. So now it is deploying our Plex server, our Plex application. So we've got that running. Once it is up and running, then we will go ahead and go to the web portal once it's set up. So now I've got my Plex server up and running, and there's all kinds of stuff on here that you can check out if you want. Like I said, Plex is quite an awesome stuff. So we are going to be done with that. So that, guys, is how you set up a home server to kind of run your own stuff. And again, this apps location is where you're going to be to discover any apps that you want that they've got pre-built for. They've already got, several in there. And so you can search all kinds of different stuff. Um, you can even look for, you might even be able to do, a custom app. So you'll be able to install a custom one as long as you get the Docker image file for it. So if you're able to find the Docker image, you could put it in here and do that as well. I encourage you to go in and play with it, do all kinds of stuff, try to make it do what you want it to do and utilize it what you want to use it for. But that is setting up a TrueNas uh, server from an old PC that we had laying around. And so this is how you would install a custom app, guys. If you like this video, then go ahead and hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, and then click that bell if you want to be notified. I appreciate you guys hanging out and seeing me set up a TrueNAS server, home server from an old PC that we've had laying around. Until next time, guys, Cyber Warrior out.